It's some sisters getting ready to clean up. That Fani Willis and Judge Tanya Chutkin, they some shooting up she-rolls. Them my sisters right there. You hear me? Because neither of them are going to get caught up in the privileged orange perspective of a tyrant criminal. And you can stop, you can stay, you can delay all you want. Them sisters said, this stuff gonna get cleaned up today. And if anybody can clean it up, you know it's gonna be some sisters. There's some stuff that needs to get cleaned. Oh, I'll be watching that TV. I say, go, Fani. Well, they be sending all them briefs and all that stuff to the judge. I say, go on, Tanya. Clean this stuff up. Talk about what's incorrect and what's unjust.
More developments this morning in the push to disqualify Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade from the 2020 election interference case. 11 Alive has confirmed the judge has denied a motion from Wade to block additional testimony from his former attorney, Terrance Bradley. Defense attorneys believe Bradley can prove Willis and Wade's romantic relationship began earlier than they testified. Bradley is now set to meet with the judge on Monday. Attorneys for former President Donald Trump claim new cell phone evidence can also prove the romantic relationship began in 2021, before Willis appointed Wade to lead the election case. Both Willis and Wade have denied those claims, testifying their relationship did not begin until 2022.
Do you think prior to November 1st of 2021, you were at the condo more than 10 times?
No, sir.
So it'd be less than 10 times?
Yes, sir.
Right now, attorneys say phone records reveal at least 35 occasions when Wade's phone connected to cell phone towers near Willis's condo in Hapeville for extended periods of time. In court, Wade said any phone records suggesting he was in Hapeville more frequently would be wrong, and that his visits to Willis's condo were for business reasons. His attorney did not respond to our request for comment, nor did Willis's office. As for the cell phone records, the judge will have to decide whether it's credible and admissible before factoring it into his decision.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Things just continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for Miss Fani Cash Only Willis and Mr. Nathan Hot Dog Wade, okay? Because yesterday I just did a video telling you guys about how there was bombshell cell phone data basically proving that Miss Fani Willis and Nathan Wade lied about the timeline of their relationship, okay? Witness testimony has suggested that their relationship began back in 2019, well before they started working on the Trump case. And this cell phone data basically proves that Nathan Wade and Miss Fani Willis were seeing each other in 2021, all throughout 2021, before they started working on the Trump case, in which you had Nathan Wade pulling up to Miss Fani Willis's place for a booty call, or what I like to call a fanny call, okay? And he was staying overnight, okay, clapping them cheeks, getting that post-clap clarity, and then going home at 5 a.m. in the morning, right? This is what was happening, okay? Allegedly. Now, also during that video, I told you guys that Nathan Wade is trying to block another witness by the name of Mr. Terrance Bradley, who was a colleague of his, worked in his office, and the defense believes that Mr. Bradley has information that would also prove that their relationship began before they started working on the Trump case. However, this guy basically said, well, I can't really talk about it. I can't testify because of attorney-client privilege. He was threatened by the bar that if you talk about this, okay, we may take away your license to practice law. So during the hearing, this guy basically couldn't really say too much.
All right, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, ma'am.
You have knowledge that their relationship began in 2019.
I do not have knowledge, but again, I have consulted with the bar as late as yesterday at 4 o'clock. I am not here to...
Your testimony is that you do not have independent knowledge.
I cannot. I was advised by the bar that Rule 1.6 of confidentiality applies, and that I cannot reveal anything that I saw or learned. And that if the court is asking me to do that, that an immediate certificate of review should be asked. And so I'm not here to misrepresent to the court or to say anything inappropriate or anything. I am here because I also have a law license, and I'm not trying to lose that.
And so, Mr. Bradley, can you finish that thought? As saw or learned, just period, without qualification whatsoever?
Judge, I'm going to refer to what I was told by the bar, that Rule 1.6 of confidentiality applies, and that I would be asking for an immediate review of the Supreme Court.
Sure, but applies to what?
Any communications is what the person at the bar told us.
Any communications?
So like he did not qualify.
If you talk to Mr. Wade, that's covered.
Well, Judge, I don't know. He didn't go into those specifics, but this is what was told. I was sitting there with my attorneys, and this was what was told to us, to state that Rule 1.6 applies. And we gave them the scenario, and this is what they told us to do. And this is what I'm doing at this particular point.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? The defense could not get this guy to talk during the witness testimony at the last hearing, and he cited attorney-client privilege, okay? He said, look, well, I can't talk because, you know, they're threatening me, right? The powers that be are saying they're going to ruin my life. So after the hearing, this guy was set to meet with the judge, but that did not happen immediately. And Nathan Wade had filed a motion to have additional witness testimony blocked, okay? Basically, he wanted to block the defense from being able to talk to this guy more because Nathan Wade knows that, you know, this guy has information that would basically prove that him and Fani Willis lied under oath, okay? That would be more evidence that they lied to the court. It would be more evidence that the relationship began before they say that the relationship began. It began before they start working on the Trump case, which would indicate a conflict of interest, which could result in disqualification, okay? And the judge has now rejected this motion from Nathan Wade to have this guy blocked, basically saying that, hey, this guy is not really using attorney-client privilege correctly, okay? So now Mr. Bradley is going to meet with the judge on Monday, and we could see Mr. Bradley back on the stand testifying as a witness and potentially giving us more evidence that, yes, these people lied to the court. They lied about when their relationship began, which could be a big deal, on top of the fact that we have text messages that essentially are facts and evidence, okay? It's more than just witness testimony or hearsay that, yeah, these two people lied. So without further ado, I actually want to play this news clip here from Scripps News, because I think they do a good job of going over just how much of a game changer these text messages and cell phone data is when it comes to determining the outcome of whether or not Miss Fani Willis will be disqualified.
An explosive court filing in Atlanta today, now raising new questions about Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and the relationship that she had with the special prosecutor that she hired to oversee the election interference case against former President Donald Trump. Cell phone data obtained by Trump's legal team shows Nathan Wade, that special prosecutor, visited Willis's neighborhood at least 35 times in the 11 months before Willis hired him in late 2021. Twice, Wade arrived late at night and left early the following morning. The data shows about 2,000 calls and 12,000 text messages between Wade and Willis from January to November 2021. Why this matters, the timeline is everything in this case. Joining me now on the phone is former Assistant District Attorney of Fulton County, Daryl Cohen. Daryl, thanks for joining us. We sat and watched as this hearing originally started. What do you make of these new revelations?
This is damning. At the very best, it's troubling. It seems to completely contradict the testimony of both Fani Willis and of Nathan Wade. And because of that, this could be a complete game changer in terms of how Judge McAfee decides to rule.
The timeline here, the timeline is extremely important. Get viewers up to speed about why this timeline matters.
Well, it matters because the testimony has been that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade became friends. They met at a conference, and he was hired before any of this took place, and that they did not have any type of relationship other than completely a business relationship. Now, if these texts and if these pings on the telephone are accurate, that changes the entire ball game and means that there could be some untruth that's been told under oath.
Come on. It certainly means there's some untruth. I mean, this guy was pulling up at 11:30 at night, leaving at 5 a.m. in the morning. We all know what that means, okay? I'm not sure who conducts business, okay? He claims that it was all business. Who conducts business at 11:30 at night and then you leave at 5 a.m.? I mean, come on. I mean, we're talking about how many phone calls? Over 2,000, something like that? 12,000 text messages? That's a relationship. That's a relationship. And you talk about over the course of how many months? Not even a year. I don't even think this data is from a whole year. Okay, I don't think I've ever had 2,000 phone calls with somebody I was in a relationship with for years, right? I don't think I've ever had 2,000 phone calls. That's somebody that you call and you talking to multiple times per day. I mean, at least 3 or 4 or 5 times per day you're calling this person, right? You're talking to this person all day, every day. That's more than a business relationship, bruh. Way more than a business relationship. That's a relationship. I mean, I would give it a benefit of the doubt and say, well, they was just clapping. You know, they might not have been monogamous, right? They were just screwing each other. But I think it was more than that. Because even if you just screwing each other, you know, if it's nothing more than that, you know, you're not going to be talking that much, okay, outside of that. But it was more than that, right? It was way more than that. And it began way before the timeline that they gave to the court under oath, which would be perjury, which means that they should go to jail. They should go to prison. I don't know how many times we have to see people lie under oath. We know they lie, and then they get away with it. It's almost as if lying under oath don't really mean anything. At the very least, we know that they lied under oath. Okay, they should be thrown in jail just for that.
In other words, it could be perjury, and I hope it isn't.
It is perjury, right? 100%.
And
because this is very sad.
Yeah, I mean, at the heart of the matter, really, then, in this case right now, this has nothing to do with the actual case against Donald Trump and the other co-defendants in the election interference case. This is all to do with if Fani Willis, the district attorney, benefited financially from hiring who we know now ended up being her boyfriend. So that's why the timeline of this is so important. If it happened before, then there's a problem. If it happened after, it might be a problem as far as optics are concerned, but not necessarily something that would get the office kicked off this case. Now, let's just say the Fani Willis's entire office gets removed from this case. What happens next?
Then it goes to the prosecutor's counsel, and they locate a district attorney's office who is capable and willing of prosecuting the case. That could be near impossible. Clayton County District Attorney has already said she cannot handle it. That leaves DeKalb County, Cobb County, and that's about it, because it has to be a large office that has the ability and the people to prosecute it, and the budget, because the budget's going to just explode with this type of case.
So you're saying it could get thrown out altogether?
I'm not saying that, but it could. This is predictably unpredictable.
Right.
None of this had been predicted, but it's taking on a case. It's a case that's taking on its own course, and we have no idea why it did what it did, but it's taking on a life of its own. So as each revelation unfolds, it becomes more and more troubling.
Did Fani Willis...
Yeah, so with that being said, okay, this guy is basically saying that, look, this case probably is going to get dropped, right? I mean, if these allegations are true, okay, if this cell phone data is true, if this witness testimony is true, which we have reason to believe that it is, and we're probably going to get more witness testimony to confirm that, yes, it is, they were in a relationship, they lied to the court. And again, all of this, the relationship happened before the Trump case. If she gets disqualified and Nathan Wade gets disqualified, then her whole office gets disqualified, and then that case would have to go to some other office. However, there are already people that have come out and said, nah, we can't do it, right? And there's not that many options in regards to offices that can take on the case because of the sheer size and scope of the case, which means that almost certainly the case will be pushed back till after the election, which, again, that's the whole point of the case. The whole point of the case is to try to stop Trump from winning, right? They want to get the trial started in a conviction before the election to try to sway the outcome of the election. That's the whole point. So if she gets disqualified, best case scenario for them, for the prosecution, is for the case to get delayed, okay, after the election. But probably what's going to happen, right, is if she gets disqualified, then the case is going to get dropped altogether, okay, which would be a disaster. Now, there's one way that Fani Willis can save herself, or to save the case, not necessarily herself, but save the case, is to recuse herself from the case, and then her office can continue to take over the case, okay? If she drops out, if she says, hey, I'm going to recuse myself, then that way the office can continue the case, but she can't be on it. However, her ego is so big that she's not going to do that, right? And some people in the comment section always ask, well, are you sure you want Fani Willis removed, somebody that's this incompetent? Yes, I do, actually, right? I actually do want her removed. I do want her disqualified, because if she's disqualified, then most likely that means that the case is not going to happen before the election, or is going to get dropped altogether, right? What I don't want to happen, really, is for her to remove herself from the case, because that would actually be the best chance of the case happening, or the trial happening, and maybe them getting a conviction before the election, which is what I don't want to happen. And that's why I think that Fani Willis is probably going to be facing a whole lot of pressure, especially with this evidence coming out. Things aren't looking too good. They're going to be facing a whole lot of pressure for her to simply just recuse herself from the case. Again, wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some news before the next hearing that Fani Willis has said, you know what, I'm going to drop out from the case, because that's the best way to save it, okay? Because, again, the primary goal is to have the trial and the conviction before the election, and the best chance of that happening right now, considering the evidence, considering the way it looks like this is going to go, is for her to recuse herself. Now, I know also there's some people talking about the judge giving Fani Willis campaign donations. It was only a small amount. I don't think that it really has any effect at all whatsoever, okay? I think that's something that's been overblown. This was done before he became a judge. It was done when he worked for the DOJ, the Trump DOJ. So I'm not necessarily sure if it actually really has any effect at all on his decision-making, but it is a point that people have brought up about the judge giving Fani Willis campaign donations money, but it was only like $150, right? It wasn't anything super crazy. So I personally don't think it's going to have that big of an effect. And as you can see here, considering the judge's actions, okay, so far, allowing this hearing to even go forward, okay, to say that Miss Fani Willis can be disqualified, rejecting Nathan Wade's motion to block a key witness from testifying even more, it doesn't seem like the judge's actions suggest that there's some type of conflict of interest between him and Miss Fani Willis, right? So I don't think it's really that big of a deal based off the judge's actions and when he actually made that donation.
Didn't she know that they would be able to get these records?
You know something? I think some of us, when affairs of the heart get in the way of affairs of the mind, we don't believe that we're visible. We think we're invisible and invincible. And I like Fani very much, but I am so disappointed in what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. And we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But every day is a new revelation, some good, some bad, depending on which side you're looking at. But it doesn't change the facts in the Trump case. It does change who may or may not prosecute it, whether it will or will not be prosecuted, whether or not it will delay the prosecution. If Fani is no longer on the case, if her office is no longer allowed to prosecute the case, then it will delay things immeasurably.
Daryl Cohen, thanks so much for joining us. Your insight is invaluable. And
Yeah. Again, what's up with all these people liking Fani Willis so much, okay? Was she passing around that Fani, right, all around Georgia, Atlanta, right? That's what I think, okay? That's exactly what I think. That's the explanation that I have for all these people that seem to love Fani so much. Okay, even the judge donated some money to Fani, right? Again, I think she was passing it around. And that's probably most likely how she built her career, right? Because clearly and obviously, you can see just from listening to her, she doesn't seem to be the sharpest tack in the box, okay? She doesn't seem to be very intelligent, but yet she ended up in this position of power. And we all know how, some women tend to accumulate power, and it's not through merit, right? It's through them offering up men the only thing that some of these women have of value, which is, what's between their legs, apparently, okay? And I'm just saying, just based off her own pattern of behavior, just based off me listening to her, just based off how reckless she has been, just based off the allegations of corruption within her office, I believe that she probably should not have been elected to her position in the first place. And again, this is what happens when you vote for people, when you put people in positions of power, not based off merit, not based off qualifications, not based off their resume, but based off race and genitalia and identity politics. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.